Maine lobster isn't just a food, it's a legend. With its pearly white meat, subtle sweetness, and a distinctive taste of luxury, this crustacean has become a global symbol of high-end cuisine. But behind every tender melt-in-your-mouth bite lies a wild journey from the icy depths of the Atlantic to the hands of over 4,000 licensed lobstermen who bravely face Maine's rugged coastline day in and day out. How do modern factories in Maine process such a colossal volume of lobster each year to meet global demand? Get ready, because we're about to dive deep into the incredible story behind one of the world's most iconic dishes. The lobsters here grow slowly in the frigid water, a harsh condition that blesses their meat with a firm texture and a profound, natural sweetness you'd be hard-pressed to find in any other seafood. It's a sought-after delicacy, but incredible as it may seem, it was once considered food for the poor and even served as rations for prisoners. Once trains began transporting lobster, further inland people in major cities got a taste, and they were instantly hooked. At the same time, more sophisticated cooking techniques and improved preservation methods helped preserve the lobster's natural sweetness and tender texture. This allowed it to land on the menus of high-end restaurants, becoming a true symbol of luxury. Maine lobster is one of the most coveted delicacies in the country, especially the tail, which has always been the most prized part. The state of Maine is responsible for about 90% of all lobster harvested in the United States, equivalent to nearly 100 million pounds annually. But for the people here, lobstering isn't just a job, it's a way of life. A proud heritage passed down from one generation to the next in coastal families along the rocky shores of New England. Every day before the sun even rises, lobstermen head out on their small boats into the cold waters of the Atlantic, ready to start a day's work the same way their fathers and grandfathers did. The first step in commercial lobstering is setting the traps. These traps, known as lobster pots, are carefully lowered to the ocean floor in strategic locations designed to lure the lobsters inside. The preferred bait is pogie, a small oily fish with a characteristically pungent odor. Some places even use it to make fish oil, but here it's gold for luring in lobsters. There's an old saying in the trade, the more it stinks, the better it works, because a stronger scent means a greater chance of attracting a lobster. Once the traps are set, it's only a matter of time before the lobsters catch a whiff of the bait. If the scent is enticing enough, they'll crawl inside, completely unaware that they're walking right into someone's dinner plans. The amount of time the traps soak is critical. It needs to be long enough to draw them in. A single lobster boat might check around 300 traps. These traps are usually grouped in strings of 6, all tied to a single line. Each end of the line is marked with brightly colored buoys, which act as the lobsterman's signature. This way there's no confusion, no crossed lines, and certainly no stealing from your neighbor unless you want a literal lobster war on your hands. When the traps are pulled up by a power hauler, the real sorting work begins right on the boat. Anything that isn't a lobster, whether it's a stray fish or a visiting crab, is gently returned to the sea. The Maine lobster industry adheres to strict size regulations to protect the population. If a lobster's carapace measured from the eye socket to the back of the main shell is shorter than 3 1/4 inches or longer than 5 inches, it's released right back into the ocean. The small ones aren't mature enough, while the large ones are essentially the granddads of the ocean prime breeders that help sustain the species. And if a lobsterman finds a female carrying eggs, it's an ironclad rule that she must be released. Once the legal-sized lobsters are sorted, it's time to secure their claws, using a special tool to slip on rubber bands like tiny Maine wedding rings. This prevents them from fighting or injuring themselves during transport. Afterward, they are gently placed into foam containers filled with cold seawater. This keeps the lobsters alive and healthy all the way to the processing plant. A typical trip at sea ends around noon. The lobstermen head out before dawn and return around midday with their crates full of squirming live lobsters. Immediately, the catch is transferred into vented plastic crates which keep the lobsters alive in a holding state until they're ready for market. From there, the lobsters are sold to processing plants at a price that varies depending on the shell type, about $8.50 per pound for hard-shell lobsters, and around $6.50 per pound for soft shells, those that have recently molted and have a thinner shell and softer meat. The crates of lobster are then transferred into massive tanks that simulate ocean conditions, keeping the lobsters alive until they are ready to be processed. Upon entering the tanks, the lobsters are graded by size and quality. The highest grade lobsters must have 2 fully developed symmetrical and robust claws. The facility currently operates 2 enormous holding tanks, each capable of holding up to 100,000 pounds of live lobster. These tanks are kept at a chilly 40 degrees Fahrenheit with a continuous filtration system to keep the water clean and stable. This cold temperature plays a crucial role. It slows the lobster's metabolism and reduces their oxygen demand. The facility is currently holding nearly 150,000 pounds of live lobster, all prepped and ready for the next step in the supply chain. Once the lobsters arrive at the processing plant, their journey begins with a modern twist pressure-induced stunning. The facility uses an advanced, non-thermal method known as high-pressure processing HPP. This method combines cold water with immense pressure, roughly 5 times the pressure found at the bottom of the ocean, to stun the lobsters safely and humanely. Live lobsters are loaded into bright blue chambers, 3 baskets at a time. The intense water pressure instantly paralyzes their nervous systems, making the subsequent steps in the process far more humane than traditional methods that involve dropping live lobsters directly into boiling water. But the benefits don't stop there. This immense pressure also breaks the bond between the meat and the shell, which makes removing the meat significantly easier. Since no heat is used, the lobster's natural flavor, texture, and nutrients are fully preserved. HPP technology is so effective that it allows processors to extract nearly 100% of the meat from the shell, pushing the total meat yield to as high as 80%. It also ensures food safety by eliminating harmful bacteria without the need for chemicals or high temperatures. The lobsters are sent directly to the disassembly stage. The tails, which contain the most meat, are separated and sent down a dedicated line for specialized handling. Meanwhile, the claws, knuckles, legs, and other parts travel by conveyor belt to large-scale industrial steamers. A crucial step in preparing the tails is deveining, removing the digestive tract that runs along the tail. Workers use a long, thin tool to carefully pierce the center and pull out the vein, ensuring the meat is pristine and ready for the next stage of processing. In a single shift, the processing team can handle up to 40,000 pounds of lobster. Once separated, the lobster tails are sent to a grading station where a specialized machine takes over, weighing and sorting the shell on tails by size. As they travel along the conveyor belt, integrated sensors precisely weigh each tail. The system then automatically diverts them into separate bins according to their weight class. From there, these bins are sent to the freezing area for preservation. Next, the tails enter a flash freezing tunnel that uses liquid nitrogen, a high-tech method that locks in the protein's quality and peak freshness. During this process, each tail is coated with a thin, protective layer of ice before being frozen solid in just a few minutes. This advanced freezing technique helps maintain the product's shape, texture, and flavor, so that when it's cooked, it tastes as fresh as the day it left the ocean. The result is perfectly frozen lobster tails ready for shipment anywhere in the world. The next step in the process is handling the claws and knuckles, the parts used to create premium refrigerated claw meat, one of the most beloved and highly regarded lobster products on the market. The claws and knuckles are gently steamed at a carefully controlled temperature. This steaming process not only kills any harmful bacteria, but also loosens the meat from the shell while perfectly preserving its natural sweetness, tenderness, and texture. Personally, if I had to pick the best part of the lobster, I'd always choose the claw and knuckle meat. Rich and buttery with a hint of oceanic brininess, it's irresistible. Each piece of meat goes through 2 rounds of quality inspection to ensure there are no stray shell fragments or cartilage. Then the meat is vacuum sealed to lock in its freshness. This extends its shelf life while keeping the meat as succulent and flavorful as the moment it was removed from the shell. This facility alone can produce up to 10,000 pounds of refrigerated claw meat daily. As for the bodies and the smaller claws, nothing goes to waste here. Instead, they are sent into a massive industrial steamer. Immediately after steaming, the lobster parts are dropped into a cooling tank at 38 degrees Fahrenheit, which instantly halts the cooking process. This rapid cooling locks in the perfect doneness without overcooking the meat while keeping the texture, especially from the delicate smaller claws, tender, juicy, and intact. The meat from these smaller claws is then carefully hand-picked to prevent damage. Meanwhile, the lobster bodies and legs are sent to a mincing line, where they are ground into minced lobster meat, a premium ingredient ideal for dishes like lobster bisque and other delicate culinary creations. By utilizing every part of the lobster, the factory not only minimizes waste but also creates a diverse range of products to suit different culinary needs. Every batch of fresh lobster meat processed daily is weighed, packaged, and sealed. And that's the entire lobster processing journey for today's episode. Do you prefer to enjoy it fresh from the ocean, or do you favor the convenience of ready-to-eat products like these? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for diving deep with us into the incredible process behind one of the ocean's finest delicacies, and the next time you savor that sweet, tender bite of lobster, remember that behind every morsel is a chain of dedication, from the commitment of the lobstermen to the skilled hands in the factory, and the integrity poured into every step. We'll see you on the next delicious culinary adventure. Maine lobster isn't just food, it's a story of grit, tradition, and transformation. From the cold, crashing Atlantic to the warm comfort of your dinner plate, every bite carries a legacy. What was once humble, even discarded, is now celebrated. Behind that sweet, buttery flavor is a journey powered by salt, steel, and soul. And that's what makes it legendary. If this story moved you, inspired you, or simply made you crave a lobster dinner, don't forget to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your favorite way to enjoy lobster, or what this journey means to you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Factory Wonders US for more powerful stories from the world's most fascinating foods. One bite at a time, we uncover the wonder behind every flavor. See you in the next episode. Sometimes, life's greatest treasures don't look like much at first. They might be rough, overlooked, or even tossed aside just like lobster once was. But with time, care, and the right touch, what the world once called worthless can rise to greatness. The lobster's story teaches us this: never underestimate where you begin. What matters most is how you grow and how much heart you bring along the way.